Awesome. Welcome everyone to the Scaling Smart podcast, where we bring together industry leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators to discuss key insights, strategies, and experiences that drive success both for themselves and their customers. Today, I'm excited to introduce my special guest, Mark Casper, President and CEO of Tech for Troops, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering veterans and their families by providing refurbished technology, digital skills training, and career support to bridge the digital divide and promote long-term self-sufficiency. It's quite the mouthful, but I'm excited to jump into it. Mark, great to meet you. How are you today?
Billy, I'm doing great. I'm humbled to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Likewise, it's going to be a good conversation.
You bet.
And for everybody else out there, my audience is typically looking at growth and scale of organizations, but the good news is that still applies to you. But one of the things that we discussed is how the difference in sales, or rather maybe your term of sales, is actually awareness. So
Right.
it's going to be a good conversation to dive into that. As a reminder for everybody, we cover three primary topics. We're going to talk a little bit about you and your organization, Mark. We want to get to know you, set that foundation. We want to talk about both the industry as well as your ideal client. And I will say the ideal client is going to be a little bit of a different conversation because I think you've got both the veteran side as well as the people donating and supporting, as well as you do actually have a small profit part of the organization too. So there's a lot of dynamics to it. And then finally, we'll jump into that kind of meat and potatoes, the growth and scale. So all that to say, and the longest way to get there, let's start with the 90-second overview, who you are, and tell us a little bit about Tech for Troops.
You bet, Billy. So, as you said, Mark Casper, President and CEO of Tech for Troops. I'm just going to say this. My wife and I have been married almost 40 years this year. So
Congratulations.
got married in the Marine Corps. I was in from 83 to 87, so I didn't get to go to Iraq, Afghanistan, right? I was a little old, but that's okay. I still support my brothers and sisters. And Tech for Troops is just a nonprofit, it's a passion project. Um, what we do is we support those under-resourced veterans and active duty and their children with training and technology, suicide prevention as well, because a lot of vets commit suicide every day. And then the reuse or recycling of electronics. So that in a nutshell is what we do, and I can go into how we do it in a minute.
Yes, that's wonderful. So obviously you served. Thank you for your service. Um, and I would assume that that was quite the gateway to get to this point where you started this organization.
I
But
didn't
let's,
found it. I took it over, and that's
you
part
took
of
it
our
over.
conversation. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's actually go right there right now. So tell us about the story of how you did get there to the point where you've taken it over.
So, like most entrepreneurs, I feel that same passion for entrepreneurship, and I started my company. And networking events, we all go to networking events, and I met this lady, and she's like, "Hey, you ought to be on our board. Come see Tech for Troops." And I've never heard of it before. It was only about a year old, anyways. And so when I came to the door, I literally walked in and knew I was home. There were 750 total square feet. And when we took the quick tour, which was about 27 seconds, and I was asked to be executive director. And even though I had decent money coming in, I knew this is where my passion was. And so I said yes. And when I went home that night, I'm still married. That's why I put that out there. I was like, guess what, babe? I'm starting a new job. And she's like, what? And I'm like, nonprofit. And she's like, you don't know anything about that. And I'm like, I don't. This is what I'm supposed to do because this is what and then it wasn't long after that was December of 15. By May-ish of 16, I was told we're out of funds, we're going to shut down. So a lot of fighting and a lot of me fighting nights, days, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week type thing to keep the doors open. It literally came down to me taking RAM out of a computer, sorting them out and selling them for 10 cents this one, 25 cents that one, and bringing in those pennies to keep the doors open.
Wow.
And a lot more than that, right? But that was the primary. I spent a lot of nights with RAM and CPUs. And then by October, I took it over fully, had a new board or start of a new board, and by January of 17, we started to take off like a moonshot.
Incredible. I love that. And we were talking briefly before we started recording here about some of the stories that have really impacted you in the work you guys are doing. I was wondering, it's a little bit of a offshoot here, but I was wondering if you could share maybe one or two that just kind of come to your mind so that our audience can kind of get a picture of what you guys are doing and the impact you're making.
You bet. So long time ago. This is probably 7 years ago. We do training in the class right here, my classroom, and I was doing Saturday classes. It was me. It was I had like two employees, so it was just me, and I always start at 9 o'clock. And being a Marine, I'm a little stickler for coming on time. Well, everybody else was on time, but this one guy came in late, and I heard the outside door shut, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm gonna go on this guy, right? And I literally met him in the hallway out there. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Or what the heck you doing, right? Why are you coming in late? And he held up a computer that had my sticker on it, and he said, I'm here to give back. And I'm like, stop, here's what it's about. So I brought him into the class, put him up front, and I'm like, tell your story. I don't know what your story is, but tell your story. And he said, well, I'm an Army combat medic, Vietnam, alcohol, drugs, fell into hard times, got a computer from Tech for Troops, and now I have a job and I'm here to give it back. And
Wow.
I'm literally crying because I'm like, guys, this is what it's about. This is what you can do with your life with a computer. So that was amazing. And then the other one just happened last year. I went down to Fort Jackson in Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm creating the relationship there. So we don't have a full relationship yet, but I brought down 10 computers to be on a panel about suicide prevention. And I gave the 10 computers out to the active duty Army, and there were two women, eight guys. The eight guys are guys. They had fun, right? Me computer, that type of thing. But this one woman stood there and she literally just stared at the computer like she couldn't believe that this gift, because we gave it for free, was
Hmm.
in her hands for her and her children or kid, whatever she had, because I didn't get into the personal piece. And I'm like, I literally put my hand on her shoulder and I'm about crying because she is just like staring at it like, oh my God, oh my God. And we've all seen and been in those places where you get the diamond ring and it's 17 carats and like, oh my God, I'm like that type of. That's what she was doing with the computer, and I'm like, it's a computer, but she did that. I'm like, it's okay. This is what we're here for. This is why I'm here at Fort Jackson, is to make you happy and your children happy. Right. So if you need anything, let me know. So those two stories will never, ever go away. There's plenty of
Sure.
others, but those two just stick with me in the workforce development, the computers that we get in and refurbish to give out.
Man, there can't be anything more motivating to get back up and do your job than to
Yeah.
see stories like that right in
Totally
front of you.
agree. Yeah, I mean, it's I get up literally at 4 o'clock in the morning, ready for the day, and I have to wait till 6:30 to leave because I see my wife out every day to go to work. But I
Hmm.
would be out the door at 4:30 if I could.
Sure. So, as I'm listening to you, I'm gonna actually kind of go off script a little bit here because I'd like to go in a couple different directions. So, I think one of the things that our audience might be interested in, just in listening to you, is, a bit of how they can support, how they can get involved. But I think I want to start, you mentioned training, and you've got a classroom.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that. What kind of skills are you teaching? Is this, you know, skills where, maybe some organizations would be ready to hire or support the training and then hire? Where are we going with the training and education?
Yep. So a lot of our training is basic computer literacy skills.
Okay.
It's the most amazing thing to me in this day and time, 2025, that we have 28, 35-year-old, 45-year-old men and women who've never touched a computer. And
Mm,
and back when the pandemic started, we heard about that digital divide. Everybody heard about that. Kids going home without a computer, digital divide. Well, that happens for adults as well. And it happens in the veteran community because they're adults, right? So I literally have men and women coming in and starting the basics, how to turn it on, how to hold a mouse, and then we take them from that in a really, really good, strong way to personal cybersecurity, to financial literacy, and we're teaching them now AI safety, right? How to use
wow.
ChatGPT the right way so you're not putting all your information out there that can be scraped and used somewhere else by someone else. Right. So, and then there's other things we want to get into. We want to get into drone training. That takes money, right? That takes buying drones because drones will break. I need to buy new drones or get the 3D printer to that whole thing. But we're looking to do that as well. And then right now we have 5 locations for training that we travel to, one up in DC, one in Winchester, Virginia, one here, one downtown at Richmond because it's closer to the veterans on that side of town, and then Newport News, Virginia. And we're looking to expand that a bit, right? We can't drive to, Sacramento to teach a class every week. That would be tough. But if you
Yeah.
want to pay us to go out there, sure, let's do that, right?
Yeah, it'd be fun.
It'd be fun. So,
Yeah,
I mean, but yeah, that's the computers we do. We want to get into other things. It always takes funding, though.
sure. Yeah, that helps a lot to understand what you're doing to equip the veterans for getting out there and actually
Yeah,
operating in this world, right? I mean, just
yeah,
flat out. At this point, my kids are always begging for smartphones, and they're 7 and 9 years old. And I've told them, I said, boys, you're not getting a
right,
smartphone until you are old enough to buy it yourself and you're out of my house. Like, I
right.
will give you
Smart,
a
very smart.
Nokia flip phone if I can.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, let's dive into the next section, which is more on the ideal customer profile. But I want to hear more. I'm going to re-engineer the question to be more applicable to you. When you are in your day to day and you're thinking about growing the organization, what are the areas you're focused on?
Oh, that's a great question. So we have some really cool opportunities coming that are not yet ready for prime time because of who we are and what we do in the military community. So we support both active duty and veteran, right? So a lot of people think active duty they're getting a check every day or every 2 weeks. Yeah, but if you're a lower enlisted, junior enlisted, and you have two kids and a wife, you're probably on food stamps. So we support that, right? We support those men and women like that. So the opportunities that happen because of who we are, not me, but the
Mhm.
integrity and the honesty that I bring to the conversation, no matter who I talk to. And as I tell folks, my granddaughters and everybody else, you ask me a question, I'll give you an answer. It might not be one you want to hear, but it's going to be a straight from the heart, truthful answer because I never have to worry about remembering a lie, right?
Sure.
And I just some folks like that, and other folks don't, and I've lost relationships because of it because I am that truthful, and
Hmm.
other ones are like thank you and they keep coming back. So yeah, that it's an easy question to answer, but it's a hard question to answer because
Hmm.
my clients, my people, my supporters love the honesty, and that spreads. People know us in DC. I was called by the Navy, like the U.S. Navy, and because we've heard of you, we've looked into you, and you're somebody we want to get to know.
Yeah,
And it's not because Mark's like this great guy, right? It's because of what we do and how we do it and what we stand for.
sure. So, okay, so I actually have heard a couple things in there I want to pick apart. So, how much do you play? How much does partnerships play a role into your growth? So, are you partnering with organizations? Obviously, the government, I could see partnership opportunities there. And then maybe contrast that to just one-off donors, which I would assume would probably have a more, what's the word I'm looking for? More likely to be a veteran or have veterans in their family and they're going to support you. So, what are those areas are the most effective for your growth?
It's the one-off donors, right?
Okay.
We've been on radio, TV, podcasts, newspaper, the whole nine yards. And as people find out about us, and that's when we were talking beforehand about sales. I call it awareness because I can still, after 10 years of doing this, almost 10 years, I meet people all the time who said, I've never heard of you. And I'm like, well, I've been doing this for a long time, and our marketing is usually word of mouth only.
Mm,
Because, I mean, having a marketing budget in a nonprofit, that's expensive. And
yeah.
our overhead in 2023 was 14%, right? So we keep a very lean overhead because everything else goes back into the vets and
Yep.
the active duty. And folks don't understand what it takes to have a nonprofit. I'm not selling a product, but I'm selling a service that might not benefit them except that I reuse or recycle their stuff that they give me.
Right.
Right. So I mean it's a dichotomy at times that why? When you come to my door, don't you hand me $20? But at the same time I get this thing, this stereo, and I can sell it for 200. Right? eBay. I can't give a stereo to a vet, so we have eBay or reuse, right? So we do those kinds of things to help fund ourselves. And it's fun, it's hard, it's amazing, it's trials and tribulations, but you keep going through it.
Sure. So, if you were a traditional organization, I would start to talk to you a little bit about competition in your industry.
Hmm.
But I'm curious what other organizations maybe align with where you guys are playing. And what I mean by that is, maybe they're complementary, not necessarily competitive, right? Because you're all trying to support and help each other, I would imagine. But tell us a little bit about the industry and other organizations that you guys come alongside with.
Yeah, so there's actually competitors that are
Hmm.
nonprofits. There's what I call the gorillas. They're bigger, they have a lot more money, and they're expanding their footprint across the United States. At this moment, there's nobody else in Richmond, and we are pretty much the only veteran organization that does what we do. There's another vet organization out of LA, but they don't have the breadth of what we have. Our growth has been like straight up since January of 17. And then the competition, the for-profit competition, is like the waste management and the
Mm,
shredders, the ones who are taking the other stuff that I want as well and doing things with it that I would like to do. But quite honestly, there's almost enough for everybody
yeah.
because somewhere close to 52 million tons go in the landfill every year around the world. And in the United
Wow.
States, it's like, I don't know, 28 or 20. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a
It's a
lot.
lot.
So I'm only at about 800,000 pounds last year reuse recycle. So we're not even at a million pounds yet.
You're right.
So I mean, there's a lot out there, and I talk to a lot of folks who say, oh, "I just put in my company, we just threw it all in the trash." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Right? One, why would you do that? There's gold, silver, titanium in it. I mean, there's money in that. The other
Yeah.
part is help me and help me help my veteran community, my brothers and sisters out. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's both. There's the guerrillas and then there's the for profits, and we're going up against both.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I hate to even say this, but man, 5, 6 years ago, I had a stack of laptops that I would have loved to get to you, and I
Yep.
took it to a competition that bought them from me for pennies on the dollar, right?
Yep.
But man, it would have been nice to give them to you guys. Next time, I promise to do that.
I appreciate that. And that happens with a lot of companies. They lease their computers or they'll have somebody come in and buy them out. And they can get a receipt. It's more tax deductible, right? You give me
Hmm.
those computers, you can get a tax receipt and take that off your profits at the end of the year. Which one do you want? That dollar computer? Or do you want the $200 you're going to claim that laptop's worth?
Yep.
Which one
Yeah.
is it?
Well,
It's up to them.
and also the joy of knowing that it's going to a good cause, right? That's important.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about you personally. So, describe a challenge that you went through that has shaped really who you are and maybe even how you do business.
That's a great question. With those kinds of questions, I always go back to my former bosses, right?
Okay.
Starting back in high school when I was working restaurants and for my dad and that kind of stuff, right? All the way up into my last corporate job. Um, I always took from those folks, my management or senior managers, um, the good and the bad. And that's how I have changed my life and morphed myself into being that laid back type of leader because I've had the bosses who, all of us have had it. You got to run screaming out every day just to get a breath. Or the other ones, you're like, I'll follow you to the gates, right? I am on my
Wow.
way with you. So I've always tried to take the good from both, and usually with the bad management there's no good, but you know what that experience is and what you don't want to do, so that is good. And then the good management, you want to emulate them, and I've had phenomenal managers and really bad managers. So that's that's what I do, and that goes back to the Marine Corps, right? And I had really good ones and other guys it was not so pleasant.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I think absolutely. It's funny. You makes me think of back when I was much younger as well, and one of my first jobs, and I was washing dishes at a kind of a diner, real rundown diner, and I came with. I wasn't as I couldn't grow as much of a beard, but I hadn't shaved, and the old manager he looks at me and he goes, "You forget to shave today?" And I said, "Oh yeah, sorry." And he's like, "All right, go home and shave and come back." And I was like, I gotta call my mom to come get me. Oh man, so I always shaved after that. But
Yeah.
now I'm a free man. I'm on my own, and I can just have
Hey,
my beard.
there you go. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
I did
So
my time in the dishwashing. I did my time.
yeah, it's That's
It
another
is.
topic.
That's a different time.
Absolutely. So the next section of the interview I love to do is called the lightning round. I didn't prep you for this. They're very simple, easy questions. They're for fun. So I'm just gonna ask you a question. Say the first thing that comes to your mind. All right.
Right.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Tea. Oh no, coffee.
What you drinking right now? Yep. Yeah, I've
I
had
was
a few
supposed
of
to have
them
water,
myself.
but I'm on my fifth cup of black coffee.
Yep. Yep. There you go. All right. What's one tool or system you rely on to keep your organization running smoothly?
Ooh, sneaker net.
Okay. All
Right.
right.
I mean, we're small enough, and we have 8,000 square feet now. So it went from
Yeah.
750 to 8,000, and we're looking for a building to buy or to lease. But I can still walk in the back and have that conversation face to face.
Love it.
Sneaker net.
Awesome. Favorite book, podcast, or resource that's influenced you?
So I don't want to call, I'm not a real prepper, right? I don't
Sure.
have the room full of stuff, but I like to be prepared. One of my favorite books of all time is from 1976, I believe it is. It's called Lucifer's Hammer. It's the
Okay.
end of the world via a comet, and the comet was named Lucifer's Hammer. And
Okay.
when it hit, it was like this
Sounds
crazy
good.
book. It was amazing. I
Um,
read it about every 3 years because I always get something new from it.
yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely check that out. So
Yeah.
that'll be good. All right. One bucket list item you've already checked off.
I just did one last year. I did two last year. One, I've never been to the Outer Banks. Lived here since 1987. We finally got
Really?
to the Outer Banks, and I drove to Montana and back by myself.
Nice.
Right, that was
Nice.
brutal, but it's my bucket list. I did it. I'm still here,
Yep.
barely.
That's awesome. All right. And let's see. What's one goal you're still working on, working towards?
Expansion of Tech for Troops into other cities across the United States.
That's great. Normally, at this point, I would ask you, my guest, to give us a way to get a hold of you, but I'd love for you to take a few minutes. What is it that you need? How can we support you the most? And then how can we get a hold of you in order to do so?
You bet. So, I mean, as a nonprofit, I tell this to every organization, every audience I talk to. If it's not Tech for Troops that you're going to support, support a nonprofit. They all need help. The bigs are bigs, I get that, but there's a lot of smaller nonprofits. So if you're going to support Tech for Troops, you go to techfortroops.org, techfortroops.org, where I have all the social media handles except for Truth Social and TikTok, I think. So you can find us there as well. And then of course funding, you know, right? If you would make a $11, like everybody says, right, the big say send $11 a month, it would be, you know, whatever you feel like. If it's $5, that'd be great, a month, or just a $5 donation, we'll take it and we'll put it to good use. And then your equipment, right? So if you're a company, especially, and you have 1,000 laptops sitting in a warehouse or in a closet, let us know. Right, we're willing to work with you to get it here in some way, shape, or form, and understand you're going to get a tax write-off for that. Plus, we'll social media the heck out of it so you get a little bit of good press.
Love it. Yeah, that's good stuff. Awesome. Well, Mark, this has been wonderful. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And I know our audience is going to love the uniqueness of the story and bringing what you brought to it. So, everybody else, that's a wrap for this episode of Scaling Smart. I'm your host, Billy Mitchell, and I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode where we have conversations with real people who have real stories who have learned how to scale smart.
Thank you, Billy.